For those tuning in, I just love to really shine the spotlight on some of our clients and really hear their candid and authentic experience venturing into business and franchise ownership. And it's a unique time. Robert and I actually had this conversation a week ago, and yet so much has changed in the coronavirus. And so, Robert, I'm sure people listening are going to be like, "What is it like to be a business owner with what's going on?" But let's start from the beginning. So for those that haven't met you and don't know anything about you, can you tell us about yourself?
Sure. I, in my adult world, so I was a U.S. Army veteran, got out as a captain. I was a maintenance test pilot, and the Army also sent me to grad school for a master's in systems management. When I came out of the Army, I spent 23 years in the healthcare industry in general. Most of that with Siemens, the German company, Philips, and General Electric. My last job was with General Electric. Or should I say, like my last career prior to being an owner of something was with General Electric. At General Electric, I ran North American healthcare IT business, and I was the VP of the business unit. I had about, I think it was somewhere around 400 employees with about 300 million in revenue on the top line. It got to a point where I just felt that my needs could be better served outside of the corporate environment. So I recruited my replacement, wrote myself a package, and walked off into the sunset to figure out who I really wanted to be.
All right. So that is a unique experience in and of itself.
Right.
So let's talk about, so you walked out into the sunset, or walked away into the sunset. I've got a great visual, little Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid before the last scene. Anyway, so you walk off into the sunset, and then what?
So I felt like I had dropped out of like hyperdrive and landed back on Earth. You know, one of those like experiences, like the world slowed down instantly, because I ran an international business for Siemens for 7 years, and I lived in airplanes and airports in third world countries in the emerging markets, and then running a US based business with, 97,000 customers in 47 states. I just it was go, go, go 24/7. For example, if you run international business and you deal with, like, say, the Middle East, their weekends are Thursday and Friday. So, Saturday and Sunday was work days. So, there was like this off switch thing, like, when are you really not working? And so slowing down, I took some time just to, go on a lot of hikes with my dog, rediscover my family, and do some deep thinking and enjoying myself, because I had a little bit of time. And then I really started that thought process of, what do I want to do? And I did know I wanted my own business. And I really didn't think about franchising at first. And I started looking at businesses for sale, worked with a consultant who was presenting me just local businesses. I did due diligence actually on one, and they ended up being a client later. But
of course they did.
But I couldn't, nothing that I really, like buying somebody else's business was like, which closet am I going to open to find what skeleton kind of thing. So, and then I one day got one of those emails. Hey, have you ever thought about franchising? And so I sadly clicked the link. Oh, clickbait. Yeah. Anyway, so and then I did the process, went through the process of discovery with Blair, and we had those discussions about what it is that I thought I wanted to do, and what I could afford to do, and my values and things like that. And I ended up looking at a couple franchises, built pro formas on 3, did 2 discovery visits, and made the final decision to buy Pride Staff.
So tell us about Pride Staff.
Okay, yeah, Pride Staff. So Pride Staff's a staffing agency. We're franchised, obviously. There's about 90 of us now. I think when I bought, there was 62. I might have been number 62 or 63. And I was looking for something that had more of a 9-to-5 feel to it, although it's more than 9 to 5, but that's okay for my team. It is. But I didn't want to work nights. I didn't want to work weekends. And I wanted business to business, and I wanted to be able to scale and drive revenue out of that I was hoping to earn from a single location, and then also down the road opportunity for multi-territory. And the multi-territory was less important than just making sure what I had could be stable. And also I wanted to re-engage and be a component of my community. So and I remember on the discovery calls with Pride staff, and I have staffing experience, as a corporate executive, as somebody who's been a senior director, and on down the chain. I've had staffing partners working with me in a variety of roles, either in manufacturing, providing individual contributor type labor, as well as working with executive search and retained search and contingent search for a variety of management positions. And I would say that my general view of that industry is not a very good one prior to coming to Pride staff. And I know when Blair said to me the first time, hey, there's this Pride staff thing, it's a staffing franchise. And I think I had a little bit of a gag reflex and had a little bit of throw up in the back of my mouth, maybe. And Blair, you should look at the model, right? Because the reality is it wasn't about what I was doing, right? So I wasn't, like, if that was important, I would have opened a franchise where I wax skis, right? Because like I'm an avid skier and I love to wax my skis, and my Instagram feed is like, a glass of bourbon balanced on my ski as I'm waxing it, or something like that. Or, I would sell hiking shoes, but really it's just business, and I want to do something that allows me to do those things, as opposed to doing those things for work. Because I guess if I was waxing skis for a living, waxing skis wouldn't be fun anymore, right? So Blair said, take a look at it. And I remember my first call with Paula Pizarro, who's head of franchise development for Pride staff. And she had a process, and she was very structured and had to follow her process. I'm a structured guy. I like that. And on the first call, they started talking about net promoter score and client satisfaction. And what I came to realize is, like every industry, staffing has a bell-shaped curve of performance and client satisfaction and customer service. And that Pride staff wanted to live on the 1% right tail of that curve of being excellent, and they have a very specific processes for that. So because I opened my mind, because Blair told me open your mind, or I think Blair said, your mind you must open, or something like that. Yoda.
He does have socks with Yoda on them.
Oh, okay, awesome. It's awesome.
But he told you to open your mind, huh?
Yeah, so I opened my mind, I did, and trust I did. Anyway, so, I went through the process, and in the final analysis, based on the pro forma, my goals, my objectives, what I wanted out of my life in this, phase, that Pride staff really was a good fit.
And what do you think was the most important or beneficial part of the research process for you?
I think of it as like my voyage of self-discovery, because I really didn't know fundamentally what I wanted to do. I really didn't. I had a corporate career that, that many of us do. You work hard to get to the next place. You think you want that job. You're looking for status. You're looking for money. There's things that may or not be of real value to you as a human. And this opportunity was one that, really allowed me to reflect and think, be mindful about my decisions, what really consult with my peer group, my friends, my family, and, really think hard about it. And in the final analysis, it was just that. It was just being open. And I think that I remember at one point my wife said to me, what do you really care what you do, as long as it meets our needs and your needs? You might as well be in the porta potty business. And if you're going to be in porta potties, just make sure you're number one in the number two business. So, that's, that's how I roll through my decision process.
Yeah. Two-part question. In your career prior to business ownership, what was missing? And has that been fulfilled on the other side now that you're a business owner?
That's a good question. I would say the thing that was really missing from my life for 23 straight years was balance, work-life balance. I have always been a nose on the grindstone kind of guy since I was 13, washing dishes in a Chinese food restaurant for 25 cents an hour. It's just, it's like how I was wired. If you wanted it, you had to go earn it.
Mm.
And I did a lot of things, but I think that I didn't have the balance. And like, I have 4 kids, and my oldest kids, who are out of the house, give the younger kids who are in the house, because they have a different dad in a different world, right? Because their daddy was the one who was, heading out the door. My kids' daddy now are the ones that it's the dad coming in the door. So it's the balance thing. So, I didn't have that, right? I was very focused on work. My family supported me, and I did what I needed to do to go to work and, earn a career and be successful. Now it's like, it was 2 weeks ago. I forget what day it was, but like, I'm an avid skier, and I get like the powder alert for, Mount Hood for where I ski at Meadows. And we don't get a lot of powder because it's Northwest Sierra cement. Northwest Cascade concrete. Right. So it's usually a heavier snow, but when there's a powder alert, and I like text my couple of ski buddies, and like, Wednesday ski, who's in? I'm like, I just tell my team, powder alert, see you Thursday. Right. So it's like that. And, I get to enjoy what I enjoy. And the same thing, like now we're transitioning from ski season to golf season. And it's like the same thing, right? I play golf, and I'll play golf once in a while. Like, I'll get out of the office at 1 o'clock and just go play golf with some friends. And, we have sunlight till 10 o'clock here in Portland. Well, you could, if you're walking off the course around 9:45, the 18th green was a little dark, but it's better to get out at 1 versus teeing off at 5. Anyways, but I have that option. I have that choice. I have a good team. I have a good business. I have good clients. There's very few real emergencies in my world, and my phone doesn't ring when I'm skiing or on the golf course. Almost never.
Nice, nice. And so, I know your story, and something jumped out at me just a little different this time. So you were very accomplished in your career in corporate. You said you managed up to what, 400 employees?
Mhm.
So
I don't know if we call that accomplished, right? Sometimes, you rise to your level of dysfunction or incompetency, right? I don't know. I think I reached the highest level of incompetency, and then I had to go move on.
I know, I wasn't sure. I started to use the word successful, and I thought, well, that is a very subjective term, and I don't know if even you would have used the word successful, but you had reached a certain level in your career, managing many, many people. And I'm just thinking, for someone that's listening, they might be thinking, I never got that high up the corporate ladder. I have never come even remotely close to having 400 employees reporting to me. And I wonder if they're thinking, I don't know if I have sufficient experience to be successful in owning a franchise. What would you say to that?
It's not necessary, right? What skills do you need to be successful in that franchise, right? I don't need those skills to be successful in my franchise. I have very strong business acumen, and I can do a P&L, and I can, forecast and do all kinds of like high-end things, but I don't do that in my business today. What drives my business is my client management and sales skills. I manage my team. I have a small team of 5 people internally. It didn't start that way. I have 5 now. Internally, we have, somewhere between 100 and 150 people working in the field every day. I don't manage them. Our clients manage them. The biggest number one skill you need to be successful in Pride staff is you have to be able to.
Uh-oh, it paused for a second.
Different.
Hey, Robert, it paused for just a second, and it was like such a suspenseful time. You said the number one skill you need to have to be successful in Pride staff is, and then it froze. Can you go back and repeat that?
What I said, yeah, sure. To be successful in a Pride staff franchise, you need to be able to drive your business. Now, that means one of 2 things. If you can sell, then your business development, and I do my own business development. I don't have a salesperson. Or you drive a team internally and you hire yourself a business development person. But the key thing is that each franchise, there's different skill sets and things that you need to do to be successful. And I looked at some franchises where in order to be successful, you just had to really pick a good location and then things would happen, right? So if you have the right model and that model, like I'll give you an example, Zoop was one that I looked at briefly because I love Zoop. Especially here in the Pacific Northwest, soup is a very key part of the diet for like a lot of the year. Anyway, and I looked at that model, and I had been to soups in many cities, and if you put it in the right location, you have the right foot traffic. You do a little social media and a little bit of marketing and networking, and do a good job at your unit. You hire the right people and make sure it operates to the model and follow the model and provide the level of service and satisfaction that the franchisor expects you to do as a franchisee. You'll be successful. So what is your skill set? Follow the model, right? So, there's many franchises where you follow the model. And at Pride Staff, you're successful if you follow the model, but the model includes the ability and the key component of continuous, never-ending business development and client acquisition. That's a key component of what we do. Yeah. So I didn't need to be a corporate executive to do that. It just happens to be that's when I decided to pull the parachute and step out.
Got it. All right, I'm mindful of the time. Do you have a hard stop at our original scheduled end time?
I'm pretty good. We're on a coronavirus contingency planning work right now, so things are a little bit quieter. So. Yeah.
Okay.
It's interesting. So we're still very, very busy in talent acquisition, and we have lots of job orders open. We just have had a couple of clients that had some slowdown, but fortunately, I don't work in the service industries at all, which is the ones that really got hammered over the last week. But in the manufacturing sector where I live, it's still pretty much full speed ahead. And I don't work in the automobile industry. In the Midwest. So so far, knock wood, have been fortunate in this really tough economic time.
Well, you already answered my next question. Thank you. My next question is also coronavirus related. I'm getting a lot of notifications about layoffs. I have been actually for the last couple of weeks, and what I hear on the news is there's more coming. And I see 3 very common ways an individual might respond to what's happening and how that might affect whether or not they research franchise ownership. What is your opinion to those who already have or might be facing a corporate layoff? What would you say in light of the coronavirus pandemic?
Well, so if you're in the world where you're going to get laid off, that that's a different discussion. But as a business owner living through this, for me, you can't business plan for this. The only business planning that I think I was fortunate I did for this is that I have contingency funds, lines of credit, and the financial wherewithal to weather the storm. And I think I would have that anyway, right? Because that's how I'm wired. I've always been that person with, the cash, the savings, and the life insurance, right? That's just how I have been. And even with my business today, I have contingency planning, and I have lines of credit that I can access, and I have cash that I've put away for the rainy day. So as a business owner, as a person, as a human being, these are things that we should be doing in general. However, nobody can plan for the zombies at the gate, right? And this is akin to the zombies at the gate, right? Because the next step is the people who died from coronavirus rise up as zombies and start eating us, and then the sharpened machete is the only thing that helps you at that point. But you can't plan for things that happen only once ever. So I live in an earthquake fault zone where this Cascadian fault zone is going to go, and it's projected it will happen in the next 100 years, either tomorrow or 99 years from now, is what the model says. I have contingency planning. I have cash. I have food. I have water. I have the things that the emergency preparedness groups in Oregon have told you to do, right? It makes sense. So you can prepare for that. I know it's coming. You can't prepare for coronavirus. You can't, it's just, there is no planning. Even the federal government in their contingency planning for a viral issue like this was apparently unprepared. So you can't bring this into a decision-making process. You can't. If you can and you need to, you probably need to crawl into a hole somewhere and spend the rest of your life there, because you can't control this. You can't plan for it. You can't control it. You do your normal contingency planning, you're safe. So I would say to anyone who's thinking about buying franchise, and it has comes well, as we come out of this in the next month or several months, you can't go, oh, I can't buy a franchise because what happens if the zombies rise up and start eating my people who want to buy my soup? You can't plan that. So at least that's my thought.
All right, thank you. Anything else that you think either I ought to be asking or you think would be beneficial to share with someone who is listening in?
The general basics are covered. I mean, I get asked about franchises all the time. I have a group of friends who I'm always saying, dude, you need to buy your own business and stop complaining about your boss. Right? Because,
Yeah.
you think about it, like how many people do we know that are dissatisfied with their work and work-life balance? How many people do we know that, have been laid off and are yet again looking for another job, or got caught in a downturn in their industry? There are industries that are recession-proof. There are industries that are more prone to be hurt in recessions, more in some businesses that do better in different kinds of economic models. But you can't buy the work-life balance, right? You have to figure that out. And being an owner, being your own boss allows you to make those decisions in your life fundamentally. And you just don't have that world where there's somebody else driving what's important to you, because they really don't know.
Yeah, I find a lot of people approach business ownership the way they approach a job. And I thought you addressed this eloquently earlier. I think when we are job searching, it's very externally focused. What does the company want? What part of me, what skill set do they need to see? And forget myself as a holistic person. I'm just going to show them that sliver of myself that applies to what they seek. And it's not about choosing, but more about being chosen.
Mhm.
Whereas business ownership it's not something that can be Googled. It's not something that we can look out there, because we need to look within and say, who am I and what do I value, and in what areas and types of interactions with people do I thrive? And I think you did a beautiful job of saying it was, what were the words you used? Self-exploration or something along those lines? Yeah.
Yeah. I can never remember what I said. I have to go back to the recording.
Okay. Well, let's hope this time it's recording.
Right?
um, and I heard you say you can't buy work-life balance, which prompted one quick question. Are you comfortable sharing your financing strategy, how you went about financing your Pride Staff business?
Yeah, I used the ROPS program. So I took a component of my 401k and went that route. Where better to invest it in myself. And, looking at where the market is today, given that I probably tripled or quadrupled my investment in myself if I had to sell my business versus where the market is, and it'll take 10 years to recover, that was prescient. But I chose to use the ROPS program rather than use other capital assets. And in the franchise world, you can't use a small business loan because the SBA won't fund a model where the receivables are held by the franchisor. So in my model, Pride Staff runs receivables from my clients, that runs payroll for my associates, and then I get my very unfair share once a month. So the SBA doesn't see that as a business model that they fund. Now that I've been open for a number of years, I now have a historic receivable from Pride Staff, and when I open my second unit, I will be able to go small business association loan on that one if I choose to, or do it out of cash flow.
Got it. Okay, excellent. Thank you. And then last question. If you had
Okay.
if you had to do it all over again?
Yeah. And that's a question that, I get asked a lot, and you've asked me that in some seminars a little bit, and it's hard to go back in time, right? Because you only have the decision, you only have the information you had at the time of making that decision. So if I had to do it over again, I would still have the same information to make the decision. But the way I look at it is now I'm looking at over 5 years over my shoulder. Did I meet the objectives that I had set out to meet? And the answer would be yes. I have what I wanted. I have work-life balance. I have the ability to show up at my son's high school baseball game an hour away where I had to leave work early, and all the things that were important to me. So not that if I had to do it over again, would I do it over again? I phrase it as, did I achieve the core objectives I was looking to achieve in this business model? The answer is yes.
So, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for so generously providing insights and your experience again. All right. Well, so is everybody from your office, or is everybody working from home?
Oh,
No, going back in?
we're in the people business, right? So we're
Got it. Oh, we froze
right now
again.
times, and we have extra sanitizers and Lysol wipes all over the place. And what I'm not doing is going out to my clients. I'm not doing my normal account management and all my business development that I normally do. I'm doing over the phone or email. I don't want to be a victor, right? Because if I had coronavirus and I was out meeting with people, that would not be appropriate. So I'm trying to, we're not sheltering in place in any way, shape, or form, but we're taking sound advice from the government and doing social distancing and sanitizing and not shaking hands.
Excellent. All right.
Great work.
Yeah. Well, thank you again. Stay well, be well. Best to you and your staff. And we will talk to you later.
You froze again there, but anyway,
Oh, yeah, so did you. So I was just saying, stay well, be well. Thank you. Best to you and your staff and your family during this interesting time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, Robert. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.